Hi everyone, hello, good morning, good afternoon, hi. Hi everyone, thank you for joining. Let's just give everyone a few moments to get joined in. Hello, hi, welcome. So hi everyone, hey, I'm Sophia Rose and thank you so much for joining today. I am taking over the Fit&Well page. Thank you, the lovely Fit&Well team, for having me. And we're going to be doing a nice dynamic Pilates workout today to celebrate International Pilates Day. So what better way to celebrate all together, doing a lovely workout all together. So thank you so much for joining. I know it's kind of early evening back home in the UK, so hi guys, thank you so much for joining before you start your Saturday evening. And anyone joining me out here in San Francisco, hi, good morning, bright and early today, a little bit earlier than our usual live. So I'm just going to give everyone one more minute to see if we get anyone else joining. Morning everyone, good afternoon. So you don't need anything, you just need a mat if you have one. If you don't have a mat, grab a towel maybe grab some water so that you can have a little sip of water if you need to, and that's all you need. So today's session is going to be, it's going to be a really, it's going to be quite dynamic. I'm going to keep you moving, but the lovely thing about Pilates is it's not high intensity, it's low impact. So it's a nice safe way of working, but because it's low impact, it doesn't mean we're not going to work hard, okay? We're going to really strengthen our muscles, but there's also going to be lots of lovely stretching and mobility and breathing work as well. So you get that really lovely kind of mind-body workout. So I'll just give one more minute just for anyone else joining. Good morning, good afternoon everyone. Hey, welcome to the Fit&Well page. Okay, so what I will say before we start is, if everything's okay sound-wise and music-wise, just let me know if there's any problems, just shout before I get going. But what I just want to quickly say is, obviously I can't see you, we're all at different levels, so please just take this at your own level. If you are a beginner, just take care when things get a little bit more difficult, when things progress. You can always go back to a previous exercise if that felt good for your body this morning. You can always have a rest, have a back stretch. If anything doesn't feel right, especially if anything hurts your lower back, you know it's a little bit too much for you today, just take a back stretch, take a rest, take a breather, join back in, take responsibility for your own bodies. Okay guys, we are gonna get started. Welcome, welcome those of you who are just joining. We're gonna get started. So we're gonna head to our mat or our space, and we're gonna start in our 4-point kneeling tabletop position. So, I'm going to pop my hair up so it doesn't get in my eyes. So you're going to start in your 4-point kneeling tabletop position, guys. So take your hands underneath your shoulder joints and your knees underneath your hips, okay? And before we do anything, all we are going to do is breathe. Such a fundamental principle of Pilates. So you're going to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, guys, for Pilates. So breathe in through your nose and let your belly expand. Let your breath fill your belly. Breathe out, you're going to scoop your belly up towards your spine. Imagine a corset tightening around your torso and scoop your belly upwards. Breathe in, expand the ribs, expand the belly. Really lovely full breaths. Breathe out, scooping the belly up. Pull your belly button up towards your spine. It's like someone's pulling through your back, pulling your belly button up towards your spine. 2 and 3 more breaths here, guys. Lovely deep breaths. We're trying to connect to our deep abdominal muscles, our deep belly muscles. Last couple of big deep belly breaths here, guys. And on your next out breath, we're going to go into a lovely cat stretch. So breathing in, as you breathe out, tuck your pelvis under, scoop through the belly, curve through the whole back. Lovely big flexion, lovely big curve all the way from your sit bones all the way towards your head. And then breathing in, lengthen your tailbone away from your head, open through your chest, gentle extended cat. Find your own pace for this, guys. Breathing out, scoop and curve into that lovely big cat stretch. Breathing in, into that extended cat. And this can be as gentle or as extreme as you want it to be. Just use this first movement to tune into your body, tune into your spine. We're working on our spinal mobility here. Breathing out, roll the pelvis under.
scoop through your tummy. You can really draw your belly button up towards your spine here, working those deep belly muscles, getting this lovely flexion and extension through our spine, stretching out our back muscles. Let's take 2 more, letting it flow. Syncing your breath with your movement, guys. And this is your last one. Push the floor away, separate your shoulder blades, get into that little area between the shoulder blades that gets really tight on all of us. Now you're going to settle your pelvis and spine into neutral, so just a nice level flat back. Sit bones are facing behind you, okay, so we're not overarching that lower back. Pick up your right hand, let's twist our spine. Bend your left elbow, keep your hips nice and high, twist your spine and reach to the side of your room. Your torso is lowering in space, keep a scoop up through the deep belly muscles. And then straighten up this left elbow, open up, reach your right fingertips up towards the ceiling, try and keep your hips square. And again, breathing out to bend the elbow, twist and reach to the side of the room. So we're twisting, we're rotating our spine, guys, getting a lovely rotation going. We really need to get rotation in the spine, especially. It's kind of like midsection of our spine that gets really stiff and tight. Breathing out, twist and reach. Breathing in, breathing out. Just let your breath flow. If at any time in this session, guys, the breathing doesn't make any sense to you, it's a tricky one, the breathing, to master if you're new to Pilates. Just keep breathing, basically. Just let your breath flow in through the nose, out through the mouth, and don't worry too much about when you're breathing. If you're more advanced and comfortable with Pilates breath and movement, you can take my direction on the actual breathing patterns a little bit more. Okay, last open up here. Let's put the right hand down underneath our shoulder joint, guys. Let's take this on the opposite side. So pick up your left hand, breathing out, bend that right elbow, reaching to the side, opposite side of your room. Hips are staying nice and high. Opening up, reach the left fingertips up towards the ceiling. And breathing out, bend that right elbow, reach the side of your room, twist into the mid-spine. Try and keep your hips square if you can. Opening up, let this flow. We're really warming up our spine through rotation. Breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. You might notice this is stiffer on one side to the other side, guys. Really normal. It's really important you start to tune into any of those little imbalances in your body so you know where you've got some work to do to kind of even out those imbalances. Let's take one more rep on this side. Breathing out, bend that right elbow, twist and reach. Twist into that mid-spine. Opening up. We're going to pop the left hand down underneath the left shoulder, joining back into this nice tabletop 4-point kneeling position. We're going to really engage our core now. So to do that, I want you to think like the breathing we did at the beginning. That corset is wrapping tight around your torso. Draw your belly up to your spine. So without moving your back, just suck your belly up or draw your belly button up towards your spine. Close the ribs. Imagine a band or a corset tightening around your torso. Breathing out with that deep belly engagement. Stretch the right leg behind you in line with the hip joint. We're going to lengthen and lift it. Switch on that glute. This hip stays facing your mat, so I don't want to see this. Hip stays facing mat, lower back is neutral. From there, we're going to bend the right knee, draw the knee to the nose and curve the back. And then stretch it back behind you, back into that nice lengthened neutral spine. Breathe out, knee to nose, curve the back. So it's like a little cat spine of the spine. And then stretch the leg behind you and just go back to this nice neutral spine. Breathing out. So option to make this a little bit more difficult, for anyone that wants to, you take your left arm off, palm faces inwards towards the centre line of the body, and you draw your elbow in at the same time. Okay, so add the arm in if you want to, keep the hand firmly on the floor if you need to. And we're going to take 4 more here. Make sure that you are stretching your leg in line with your hip joint, guys, and your arm in line with your shoulder joint. Your right hip should be facing down to your mat the whole time. Last one. We're going to hold. Turn that palm back to the floor. You can have this hand down on the floor still if you need to. Otherwise, leave it lifted. We're going to tap toes and fingers down. Lift back up. Rotate the leg out slightly. Move it slightly away from in line with the hip. At the same time, moving the arm out and then draw back in line with the shoulder and the hip. So we tap, we lift, we open, we close. Tap, lift, open, close. So all you're doing, find your own pace for this, guys, is you're just moving the leg slightly out, away from in line with the hip, and then back in line with the hip. Mirror that movement with your arm. If you can see, I'm not sure if you can see in my hip joint, as I move the leg away from in line with the hip, I'm turning it out slightly, rotating it out slightly. Just gives you a little bit more space in that hip joint. The core is nice and tight. Draw that belly up, last breath. And you're going to lower and slide back in. Good. Everyone doing okay? We're going to take that on the second side. So you're going to stretch your left leg behind you. Core is engaged. Really stabilize that lower back. Lengthen and lift that left leg. You're going to draw the knee to the nose. Breathe out. Curve the back. Breathe in. Stretch in line with your hip joint. Breathe out. Knee to nose. Breathe in. Stretch. Option to add that other arm in, guys, if you did it on the first side. Leave it firmly down on the mat if you need to today. Breathing out. Breathing in. So one of the principles of Pilates is alignment. So I really want you to really try and focus on making sure your leg is staying in line with your hip joint. And then if you're working your arm is in line with your shoulder joint. So when our joints are aligned, they can work much more efficiently without causing any excess damage to the surrounding muscles and ligaments. Last one here, breathing out. Breathing in, let's stretch and hold. Turn the palm down if you're using your arm. We tap, we lift. Okay, so this could just be the leg. We're going to breathe in to tap, breathe out to lift. Make sure, I don't know if you can see very well on me, but make sure your left hip bone is facing your mat, guys, okay? Shouldn't be lifting to the side of your room. And then if you can see my lower back, I don't want this to happen as you lift your leg. I don't want that lower back to overextend. Lift your tummy up. And keeping that lower back nice and still, nice and stable, so we don't overactivate the lower back muscles, so you don't get lower back pain. Last 3, 2. Now hold this lift. We go out to the side, back in line. Out to the side, back in line. So as your leg moves away from your hip, just turn it out slightly, rotate it out, and then bring it back to parallel as you go back in line with the hip. Breathe however feels naturally here, but use that breath to keep connected to your deep belly muscles. Anyone that's really switched on today will notice I went slightly wrong in this routine on the second side. I didn't link those last 2 movements together like we did on the first side. But that's okay. We're still working hard on this second side. Last 2. It's a little bit early out here in San Francisco, guys. Last 1. Been up super early with the baby. Lower, slide it back in. Let's have a back stretch. Have your feet together, knees nice and wide. We're going to sit back onto those heels, guys. We're going to take a lovely big back stretch. So this is your rest position or your child's pose if you practice yoga. Knees as wide as you need them to be. Stretch your arms out. And just take some lovely deep breaths here, guys. Just stay there and take some lovely deep breaths. I want you to breathe in through your nose and feel your rib cage expanding. And breathe out through your mouth. Just checking everything's looking good. Good, so breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. Let's take a really big side stretch here. So walk your hands over to your right for me, so you're keeping sitting back onto your heels. Walk your hands as far over to the right as you can. You can take your left hand over the right hand, and then breathe nice and deeply into the left side of your rib cage for me. Expand your rib cage, expand your lungs into that left side of your torso. Feel that stretch, feel that space between the left hip bone and the bottom of the left rib cage. We get quite tight in the waist muscles, in those little muscles in between the ribs. And then on your next out breath, walk the hands through the centre, walk them over to the left side as far as you can. Right hand goes over the top of the left hand. And take some really lovely deep breaths there. Sending that breath into the right side of your rib cage. Feeling that space between your right hip bone and the bottom of your right rib cage. 2 more big breaths there. Come back to the centre with those hands. You're going to come back into your 4-point kneeling tabletop position, guys. We've just got 2 little glute exercises here before we change position. So, hands are going under the shoulders, knees under the hips. Core is engaged. Close the ribs, draw the belly up to the spine. Nice level back for me, okay? So we're going to try and keep that nice neutral back. Bending the right knee, you're going to lift the right leg, pointing the right toes towards the ceiling. So you've got knee in line with hip joint, and then your foot is over your knee. Okay, so we've got that like 90-degree right angle at our knee, guys. From there, we're going to take really small pulses. Keep your knee facing down to your mat. Keep a really strong, deep belly engagement here. So what I don't want to see is this lower back moving around, okay? We've got that corset wrapped around our torso. We're breathing out with every little pulse here, drawing our tummy up. If you can hear my breath, guys, this is how active I feel like you can be with your breath to really help connect to your deep abdominals. And we're squeezing into that hamstring, into that glute. We're going to pulse for 5, 4, 3, and hold. From there, guys, you're going to lift this right knee. Lift, 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 lift. Keep it in line with the hip if you can. You bring the right knee as if you're moving it towards your right shoulder. Flex your right foot, and then stretch it back in line with your hip. Point the right foot, okay? So bend that right knee. Keep the knee lifted, lifted, lifted. So you've turned your leg out. It's like your leg is on a tabletop, and you're not allowed to let it drop down. Bend the right knee, so the right knee is coming towards the right shoulder, but without moving your torso. So as you draw your knee in here, I don't want to see this, I don't want to see your right side moving, okay? So keep a long right side of the waist as the knee comes towards the shoulder. It's really tough, this one. We're going to work into those glutes. We're going to work into those, particularly into our glute medius, into all of our stability muscles around our hips. And the core is working nice and strong as well. The obliques are working. Anyone wants to make this harder, take your left arm off. So then you've got that real challenge to the opposite stability muscles of the core. Last one. Breathe in, breathe out, stretch, turn that right leg to parallel, lower, slide that right knee back in. Second side. So we're going to stretch the left leg. I'm going to turn around, everyone stay where you are, but just so you can see that leg working a little bit better. So left leg now. Bend that left knee. Left toe points up towards the ceiling, parallel knee to the floor. Stabilise your lower back, draw your belly up to your spine, little pulses. So if anyone's feeling this in their lower back, maybe your lower back is moving and your lower back muscles might be overactivating, you need more engagement at your core. You might also need to make the movement smaller. And breathe more. Little pulses. It's like somebody's hand is just above your toe and you're just tap, tap, tapping. Squeeze into your glute, into your butt. Squeeze into your hamstring, guys. Breathe for 5, 3, and 1. Still that leg. Lift your left knee, but keep your left hip down. I don't want to see this. Keep your left hip down. Left knee moves towards your left shoulder. Flex your left foot. Stretch that left leg back in line with the hip. Point your left foot. Bend that left knee and stretch the leg in line with the hip. Flex the foot as you bend the knee. Point the foot as you stretch the leg. The leg is turned out, guys. We're keeping that lift like you're moving just above a tabletop. Breathe in. Breathe out. We've got 5 more. Breathe in. Breathe out. You can lift that opposite arm for more of a challenge. It's going to really work into the opposing side of the abdominals. And last 2. Make sure your left side of your waist stays long as the knee comes towards the left shoulder. Last one. And stretch, leg to parallel, lower, draw it in. Oh, rest, take a breather. Hopefully you felt the hip and glute muscles there and the core. If anyone needs a little back stretch or a wrist release, go for it. We're going to come into our change of position now. So take some water if you need some. So I'm going to go back to my first side. And we're going to roll down towards our mat. So have lots of mat behind you. Knees are bent. Let's just take a nice C-curve position to start with. So roll the pelvis underneath you guys. We get this nice scoop through our tummy, curve through our spine. Lots of the movements in Pilates are about moving our spine through all the positions, keeping it healthy. We're going to hold this here. You're going to let go of the legs. Just take a few breaths here. I want you to try and think of moving your lower ribs towards your hips. So you've got this nice deep scoop. And you're closing your rib cage. Bend your elbows a little bit so you're holding like a big circle. Fingertips can touch. Breathe out and just twist to your right. Breathe in, come through the center. Breathe out, twist to your left. Breathe in, come through the center. So if you can see, guys, I've got this nice deep scoop through my tummy. A curve through my spine, okay? I don't have a flat back. Think hips to ribs, or pubic bone to belly button. Shoulders are down. We're nice and open through our collarbones. Lovely big out breath as you squeeze into the waist muscles, into those obliques. Breathe out to twist. Breathe in through the center. We'll go 4 more. Keeping this deep scoop through the tummy. If you feel anything going into the lower back, come out of this. Last one to the left. From here, lengthen those arms. We're going to roll all the way down, nice and slowly. Go down as slowly as you can, guys. Roll that pelvis under. This is really working into those deep lower abdominals. Breathe. Lower back hits the mat, middle back, top of the back, neck, head. Oh, find your mat. Good. Readjust if you need to. So, we've got knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Your knees are hip width, okay? So you want feet in line with knees, knees in line with hips. Pelvis is level. Just feel the back of the pelvis nice and heavy onto your mat, okay? Feel it grounded onto your mat. Your lower back area, guys, just try and have it in a very natural position. We call that neutral lower back, neutral lower spine. So you're not pressing it into the mat and you're not overarching it. It's just where it wants to be. We call that neutral. Feel the back of your rib cage into your mat. Relax your shoulders into your mat. Heels are quite close to your bum. We're going to breathe in. We're going to breathe out. We're going to tuck our pelvis now. So now you are going to press the lower back into the mat. Press through your heels. Squeeze your glute muscles. Draw your pelvic floor muscles up if you can. Engage down to those deep abdominals. Press the floor away. Lift the hips. Lift the lower back. Lift the middle back. Lift the top of the back. You're rolling all the way up towards the shoulders into our full glute bridge. From here, we're going to breathe in. We're going to lift the arms. Reach the arms behind us. And then you're going to breathe out, reach the back of your room and roll down through your spine, 1 vertebrae at a time. So these are your glute bridges, guys. When your bum hits the mat, lower your arms. These are your glute bridges, but with a nice spine curl, so we're really moving through our spine. Press through the heels, lift the hips, squeeze your bum, draw your pelvic floor up. Push the floor away and lift up through the spine, section by section, all the way up towards your shoulders. Hold the top of that bridge, reach behind you. And then really reach behind you, reach the back of your room here as you peel your spine down, 1 vertebrae at a time. So to keep our spine healthy, guys, we've got to try and move through all its sections. Remember, we've got all those vertebrae. So tune into your spine here. Where does it feel blocked? Where do you need to focus, getting a little bit more mobility? To keep it healthy, lift those arms. Breathing out to roll down, top of the spine, middle spine. Get that nice scoop through the tummy as you roll down. You can draw down, belly to spine, get that deep belly connection. We're going to add a heel lift, guys. So like you're going up on your heels. It's nearly Saturday night in the UK. Get those heels on. Roll up to your glute bridge. Breathe in, lift the heels, reach behind you. Leave those heels lifted now as you roll down. Feels a little bit different. It might give you a little bit more space in that lower back. Lower the heels, lower the arms. 2 more reps. Breathe out. Rolling up. Make sure your knees are staying parallel, guys. So you've got to be aware of those inside thighs, those adductors. Breathe in to lift. Lift the heels. Breathe out. Reach to the back of your room. Feel 1 section of your spine going down onto your mat at a time. Lower your arms, lower your heels. Last one, guys. Make sure your heels are quite close in towards your bum. Roll up. Let's take our arms just above our shoulders, palms facing each other. Let's lift those heels again. You might want to wiggle them in ever so slightly. Your core is engaged. You've got that corset on, drawing the tummy down to the spine. We're just lowering the hips a little bit, squeezing back up. Breathe in to lower, breathe out to squeeze. Just 3 or 4 inches max to lower, guys. And then squeeze back up, squeezing deep into your glutes. Really engaging deep into our glutes, working working our butt. Good. Pelvic floor is drawing up. I'm going to let you hear my breath so you can really hear how I use my breath. And what that's doing, guys, is that active out breath as I squeeze back up is reminding me to engage down to those deep abdominal muscles, to draw my pelvic floor up. So I'm protecting my lower back, keeping good form. Last 3. Knees are staying in line with hips, make sure they're not wandering out. Last 1. Good. Take the arms behind you, breathe in, breathe out, roll all the way down. And release and rest. Good, guys, well done. Hopefully those glutes are switched on. Okay, we're going to go into a core section. So take this at your own pace if you need to. The exercises are going to get more difficult. If you need to stick with a previous exercise, you can just stick with the previous exercise if that was enough of a challenge for you. And you can always stop and rest and stretch your back if you need to. We're going to flow through it quite quickly. So guys, you're going to find your tabletop, double knee fold. One knee in, second knee in, feet in line with knees, knees over hips. Lower back in neutral if you can. If you need to, you can press it into the mat. It's a little bit of a safer position to be in if you're a beginner, or if you're maybe feeling a little bit weaker if you're relatively early postpartum. Otherwise, try and work in that neutral. It is more strengthening. Breathe in, breathe out. Tap one toe down. Breathe in, bring it back to tabletop. Breathe out, tap the other toe down. Breathe in. I'm going to take my arms to this shoulder drop position, hands under over shoulders. You don't have to, they could be firmly on the floor. So this is your number 1 for our core strengthening routine here, guys. This might be enough for you today. The exercises are going to get more and more difficult, just as a little warning. Good, so when my lower back's not moving, the most important thing here, guys, is you use your out breath to close the ribs, to draw the belly down towards the spine, to activate those deep abdominals of our core, and to keep our lower back really still. So if your back is moving, if you're feeling it hurting, your lower back straining, you need to make the movement smaller, slower. You might not tap all the way to the floor, that's totally fine. If you're still struggling, guys, press that lower back into your mat. Work in that imprint. Good. I see this exercise done wrong a lot, unfortunately. There's no point in doing this if your lower back is moving away and back into the mat. All we're doing is overactivating our lower back muscles. Good, we're going to stretch our leg now. Keep moving. We're going to fully stretch the leg and we're going to stretch the opposite arm away from us at the same time. A little bit for the coordination, guys. Sorry for everyone out here in San Francisco. It's nice and early, just switching the brain on. Coordination. So breathing out, stretching your opposite arm to left. Same principle here, guys. Only lower your leg as low as you can without your lower back coming out of its position. Okay? So if it's going into your lower back, if you're feeling that movement and that strain, stretch the leg much higher. Yours might look like this, totally fine. And you can also keep those arms still if the coordination is not there this morning. Good, last one on your left. We're going to hug those knees in momentarily, just have a couple of breaths there. Good, we're going to take that same movement, those toe taps, but we're adding a curl up in. So stick with what you've just done if that was enough for you today. Have a breather, then go back and do another set. Otherwise, hands are going behind the head. We're interlocking our fingers, guys, popping the head into the hands. Breathe in to prepare. Breathe out, tuck the chin towards the chest, melt through your breastbone, flexing the top and mid of the spine, so curling up. Think of moving your lower ribs to your hips. From there, we're going to find our double knee fold, our tabletop. Feet in line with knees, knees over hips. So we're going to breathe out. You're either going to tap and lift, okay, so you can keep that knee bent and tap and lift, or to make it a little bit harder, you're going to go straight for that leg stretch. So we're keeping our curl up, guys. We're keeping that flexion through the spine, that curled up position. Keep this contraction here, ribs to hips, ribs are closed. Your elbows, guys, just make sure you can see them just out of the corner of your eyes. Don't bring them too far forward that it pulls too much on your neck. And keep a little gap between your chin and chest so we're not over flexing our neck muscles. Your head should be nice and heavy into your hands. Good, nice deep breaths. Your leg is stretching in line with your hip joint. You've got no excuse here with the alignment, guys. We can see our legs in this flexed position, in line with our hip joint. We've got 4 more. Keep this contraction. 4, Really stretch that leg. 3. Last 2. Last 1. Take one foot down at a time to the mat. Breathe in. Breathe out, rest. We have one more variation here, guys. So you can rest, you can go back to the beginning of the exercises if you need to, just those toe taps. Otherwise, we're going to take one more exercise. We're going to switch on our oblique abdominals, our side abdominals. Breathe in, breathe out. We're coming back into that curl up position. Set it and hold it, ribs to hips, ribs are closed. Gap between the chin and the chest. Find your double knee fold, guys. Okay, we are going to reach our left elbow to our right knee and stretch our left leg away from us at the same time. Breathe in through the center. Breathe out, alternate sides. Right elbow to left knee, stretch the right leg away from you. Breathe in through the center. We're going to speed up a little bit. So can you see how I'm not coming down from the curl up at all? I'm keeping my curl up. I'm just reaching my opposite elbow to my opposite knee. Squeezing into my waist, into my deep oblique abdominals. Stretching the other leg away in line with the hip. Good, keep it slow and broken down like this if you need to, guys, especially if it's a newer exercise for you. Otherwise, we're going to have one little flow here. We're going to make it a little bit more dynamic. Find your pace, find your breath. I want to hear nice active out breaths. If I could hear you, it would sound like this. We're going to go for 5 and 4 and 2 and 1 and rest, guys. Oh, well done. I felt that for you. That was a tough one. Have a little massage through that lower back. How are we doing for time? Let's get changing position, guys. Just have a lovely massage through that lower back. Make this what your body needs. Kind of just feel the pelvis and lower back release. Maybe take some little circles. Good. Draw your knees into your chest. Hold your shins. Curve your spine. Scoot through the tummy curve for your spine and roll yourself up like a ball. We're going to come onto our front. We're going to take a lovely cobra stretch now to stretch out through the front of those abdominals and to extend our spine. Okay, if you've been sitting all week, or maybe hunched over your kids, picking them up all week, you may be feeling a bit rounded. Let's open up, let's extend our spine. So lying on your front, legs are a little bit wider than hip width and just gently turn them out. Bend your elbows, forearms flat on the floor, forehead on the floor, hands are just a little bit higher than shoulder width. Before you do anything, guys, lift your tummy up, belly up towards the spine, engage into those deep abdominals. Breathing in to prepare. Breathe out, roll the nose along the floor, press the floor away, lift the head, the neck, the upper spine. Let's just go to the mid-spine here to start with. See how I've got a long back of the neck, guys? See how, look at my lower back, I'm not like this, I'm not overarching, overextending into my lower back. Okay, I'm going to think hips to ribs, go into a neutral lower back, long back of the neck, someone's pulling me from the crown of my head, open collarbones, release back down. You can stick at that height if that's enough for you today, guys. If that's a new exercise to you, keep it small. Otherwise, keep going. Lift the head, neck, upper, mid, and lift all the way into your full cobra. Lift your head on top of your neck. Lift through the front of the hips, guys. I don't want to see this if I could see you. I don't want to see this hanging out in your lower back. Oh, really bad for our lower back. Push the floor away, lift the hips up. Think hips to ribs, and then lower back down. And think of lengthening as you lower, okay? Visualize those little discs we have in between our vertebrae. We're always trying to create space, decompression for those discs in between the vertebrae. So really imagine someone lifting you up through the crown of your head here. Push the floor away, lift, lift, lift. Space in your spine. Release back down. And we're going to take one more. Don't worry if your arms don't fully straighten, don't worry if you're not going all the way up. This looks very different on everybody. It's what your spine and your back needs today. Lowering all the way down and take a lovely big breath there. Good, good guys, well done. We're going to come into a hip stretch. So we're going to stretch out our hips before we do some work on strengthening the stability muscles around the hips and glutes. So we're going to take your right foot forward, grab a little bit of water if you need it. I'm going to have a little sip. It's quite warm here today. I haven't put my aircon on, so I'm sweating a little bit. Little sip of water. Okay, let's stretch those hip muscles out. They might be feeling quite tight from your week of working at home or running around after the kids all week. So let's stretch them out. Let's take our right foot forward, your left knee is down on your mat. A little bit of engagement into the core. Breathe in, breathe out, release. Just a nice plain hip stretch here into that left hip flexor. We're just going to breathe there. Oh, lovely. Take some nice deep breaths. Using your breath to kind of sink into that hip stretch. Your breath is crucial in your stretching, guys. Always using your breath just to really release into your stretching. So you're not gripping and holding in your stretching and holding tension. You're trying to let go of that tension. Good, from here we're going to take our opposite arm to foot. So lifting your left arm up if you have your right foot forward and reaching over to the side. So adding in a side bend. I'm going to change positions. Stay where you are. I'm just going to change to the front of the screen so you can see me here. So you're just adding that side bend in. Good, breathing. Doing so well, guys. The good news is I left the normal planks out today, but I am adding a side plank in just to warn you. But breathe through that thought. Last big breath there. I'm going to go back to the side so you can see me. Stay where you are. Come out that side bend. You're going to take both hands and frame your front foot, so hands either side of that right foot. Tuck your back toes under, press and lift that left knee, so you're in a full runner's lunge. Your left hand stays on the floor, your right fingertips reach up to the ceiling and you twist your spine. Breathe. So we're in a big lunge with rotation of our spine, getting that stretch through the hip flexors, whilst also getting that rotation through the spine. It really deepens our hip flexor stretch. Breathe. Sink into it with your out breath. If this is too much, guys, bend that left knee and keep the left knee down here. You're still going to get the stretch, just not as intense. Last breath, untwist, hand to the floor. Knee goes down, come back. We're just going to swap sides, nice and simple today. So I want to get onto that hip strengthening. Left foot forward, in line with your knee, knee in line with your hip. Sink into your right hip flexor. So your plain hip flexor stretch, guys, on your second side. Doesn't matter where you're facing, just make sure you're stretching out your second side for that hip flexor. Find your breath. Good, guys, make sure you're not here, make sure you're not overarching that lower back, hanging out in the lower back. Okay, so it's quite easy for me to be there, I'm very flexible. So I'm going to come out of the stretch a little bit, I'm going to think of hips to ribs. So I'm just coming out of that lower back extension, engaging the core. It's a much deeper hip stretch. Okay, lift your right arm, add the side bending, guys. So up and over. So stay in that hip stretch, add your side bend in, feel that stretch all the way from your fingertips, all the way to your hip bone. Breathe into the side of your ribs. Really try and take lovely deep breaths here, guys. If you're holding your breath, maybe come out of the stretch a little bit so the stretch isn't quite so intense, and so that you can really focus on getting that full deep breath. Your breath needs to be really full into your rib cage, into your belly. Not up in your chest. Let's get away from that chest breathing where we all like to spend time in the week, maybe when we're a little bit stressed. Good, come out of that side bend, guys. Frame your front foot with both your hands, tuck your right toes under, press through the floor, lift that right knee so you're in your full runner's lunge. Your right hand stays on the floor, your left hand is reaching to the ceiling, so you're rotating, you're twisting your spine, and breathe. Your back knee could be down on the floor, guys, here if you need it to be, that's totally fine. You're still going to get a good stretch. And breathe. I want you to sink down into that hip stretch, but at the same time, if you can see my shoulder here, I'm not hanging out down here, I'm pushing the floor away, lifting out of that supporting shoulder joint, reaching through my top fingertips length, and breathing. Last two big breaths there. Untwist. Good, guys, knee goes down. We come out of that stretch. Well done. We have our sideline sequence to finish. Grab a little bit of water if you need it. Anyone that's trained with me before or done any of my lives knows how much I love my clam work. So I've got a couple of clam exercises for you, and we're going to do some sideline plank prep as well. It's your last little sequence before your stretch. You're doing so well. Okay, so we're going to lie on our right side. So lying on your right side, your knees are bent. I want you to have your feet in line with your bum. And then your bum is in line with your spine. Okay, you can come up on your hand here. If you feel more comfortable, you can lie down on the arm there. So the first exercise is our plain clam, just a nice simple plain one to start with. Close the ribs, engage the core, hand on the hip. You're just going to open up that top knee and then lower the knee back to the knee. So let's sync our breath with this, guys. So breathing out, engage into the core as you breathe out. Draw the navel back to the spine, close the ribs. Okay, so by engaging those deep abdominal muscles, we're going to help stabilise the lower back and the pelvis, which is what we want to do. And then the movement here is the rotation in the hip joint, and we're activating our glute med, our stability muscles around our hips. Really important muscle to strengthen to help keep our pelvis stable. So if you're doing lots of running at the moment, if you've maybe got into all the running challenges that are going on, or jogging or walking, which is brilliant, we want to have nice stable pelvises and lower backs when we are running and walking and doing any kind of high impact work as well, so that we don't get injuries in our knees and our lower back. Good. So breathing out, open that knee, rotating out at that hip joint. So it's the top of the thigh, rotating in the hip socket. Everything staying stable in the spine and in the pelvis. Last two. These are your clams. If anyone is postnatal or pregnant, these are brilliant. Help stabilise the pelvis and the lower back as the posture changes constantly. Good, you're going to lift up. The next progression for this is you're going to lift up both your feet. Keep them glued together, just lift them up. Same movement, open that top knee into that clam. From there, you're going to stretch this top leg. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Keep the leg in line with the hip there. You're going to rotate it in. You're going to rotate it out. You're going to bend the knee, toe goes back to toe. You're going to close the clam. So your feet stay lifted the whole time. This is quite a progression, quite a variation to the first one. So just go through it with me. Open your clam. Stretch your top leg. It's turned out. From there, you're going to turn it in from the hip joint. Don't let your pelvis move. Turn it back out. Bend the knee, foot goes back to foot or toe to toe. Close the knee, close the clam. Woo! So we're really working into those rotational muscles. We're getting some lovely hip mobility work, but then strengthening the muscles around the hip. So with Pilates, a lot of the time we're looking at what is staying stable, and then we're looking at where are we mobilizing, and then where are we strengthening. So it's that kind of real full body approach. You're not just moving your legs around. Good. If you're feeling this all around your butt and hip area, perfect. Last one, open the clam. Stretch that top leg. Nice straight leg. Rotate in. Rotate back out. Foot to foot, knee to knee. Lower the clam. Ooh, I'm feeling it already today. Good. We're now going to come up onto our forearm. So elbow is right under your shoulder joint. We're in this kind of side plank prep position. From here, knees are bent, feet are in line with your bum still. Push the floor away, lift it through this underneath shoulder. Lift the underneath side of the waist, okay? So we're really strengthening the underneath oblique there. So from here, you're going to lift this top leg, and you're going to stretch it so it's in line with your spine and it's parallel. You can bring this knee a little bit higher so it's in line with your hip, that underneath leg. From there, we're going to flex that top leg and swing the leg forward so it's in line with your hip joint. Don't contract in the tummy. Keep long, so you're keeping your pelvis and spine still. Take the leg back in line with the hip, point the foot, we lift up and down. So flex the foot, come forward in line with your hip. Point the foot, the leg goes back in line with the spine, we lift up and down. Breathe in, breathe out, and in and out. So breathing in, breathing out. You really need core engagement here, guys, otherwise your lower back is going to start moving and it's all going to go into the back. So lift, lower, forward, back. You could be down on the mat here if this is too much for your shoulder and waist. Keep pushing the floor away. You'll notice as you get tired, you start to sink down here. Push the floor. Last two, forward, back, up, down. Last one, forward, back, up, down. Whew. We've got a side plank to finish this series, guys. So you're either going to be here, you're going to keep your knees bent, bring your thighs back in line with your spine and lift. Here's your preparatory version if that's enough for you today, guys. Anyone that wants to join me, you're going to stretch your legs, top foot can go in front of the bottom foot for a little bit more stability. The most advanced version is the top foot on top of the bottom foot. Elbow into shoulder, hips facing forward, guys. Let's close the ribs. Engage tummy back to spine and breathe. And breathe. Hand over shoulder and breathe. Keep pushing the floor away, keep lifting out this underneath shoulder. Breathe, breathe, breathe. This is too much rest, guys. Last 3 and 2 and 1. Oh, and lower down. Well done. Amazing, guys. You're nearly there. We're going to do those on the other side to finish. Well done. Just got time. I might be slightly over my 45 minutes, sorry. Little sip of water if you need it. Okay, let's find our position on our second side for those exercises. So, doesn't matter where you're facing, as long as you're definitely doing your second side, you can see me. So lying on your left side, bend your knees, feet are in line with your bum is in line with your spine, which is in line with your neck and head, okay? So you want a straight line from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. Hip over hip, engage at the core, open that top knee and close. So it's our plain clams to start with, guys. Hand is on your hip. You can use the heel of your hand into the back of your pelvis so that you can feel that your pelvis is staying still. Okay, so what I don't want to see in this, which I see a lot with people, is that your pelvis is rocking back and forward. Not going to achieve what we're trying to achieve there. Open and close. Good. Open and close. 3. So we're just rotating out in that top hip. Last one. Good. Second exercise. Lift both your feet, keep them glued together. Open that top knee. Stretch the leg. Rotate in. Rotate out. Bend the knee foot to foot or toe to toe. Close the clam. Open the clam. Stretch that top leg. Rotate in at the hip joint. Rotate back out. Bend the right knee toe to toe. Close the clam. Close the clam. Tongue twister. Open the clam. Stretch that top leg. Rotate in. Rotate out. Bend the right knee toe to toe. Close the clam. Last 2. Nothing's moving in your pelvis. This is all at the hip joint and the muscles surrounding the hip. Toe to toe. Last one. I've got a little sweat going on here. Woo. Open the clam. Stretch that leg. Rotate the leg inwards. Rotate it back out. Bend the knee toe to toe. Knee to knee. Lower those legs. Good. Lower the feet. Elbows going under the shoulder. Lift out of that supporting shoulder joint. Underneath knee can come a little bit higher. Stretch that top leg parallel in line with the hip. Flex that right foot as the leg swings forward. Point it as it goes back in line with the spine. Lift, lower. This is a lot in that core, guys. You've got to really stay active in those deep abdominals. Otherwise you'll notice the pelvis starts to move around. You start to be less stable through the torso. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. I like to check my ribs are staying closed and not flaring. So only a really small lift of the leg here because of the position we're in. And lift. We go 3. Point, lift, lower, 2. And flex, and point, lift, lower. Oh, give it a little rub. I'm feeling it today. Good. Side plank to finish. Forearm down, modified side plank. So elbows under shoulder. Take the same version you took on your first side. If you're here with your knees bent, bring your thighs back so they're in line with your pelvis, in line with your spine, so you're here. Otherwise, stretch those legs if you're joining me here. Legs are in line with your spine, hip bones are facing forward. You can have the top foot in front of the bottom foot. It will give you a little bit of a better balancing platform. And breathe, hip bones facing forward. Lift out of this supporting shoulder. Ribs are closed. We breathe for 5. And 3. And 2. Find that breath in your deep abdominals, guys. Last one, connect your breath to your belly. Lower, well done. And we just have time to stretch our glutes and hamstrings. Let's have a little stretch. Well done, guys. So stick with me for a few minutes if you can. Roll down to your mat. Roll the pelvis underneath you. And find your mat. Oh, good. Take your right foot over your left thigh. Take your hands behind the back of your thigh, interlock your fingers. Pull towards you. You can use your right elbow to open this knee. And let's stretch out our right glute here. Nice deep breath, slow your breath down. Keep your pelvis heavy onto the mat, guys. If you need a little bit more traction, a little bit more of a stretch, reach for your shin, pull from there. Anyone that needs even more, you can always stretch this lower leg and reach for the ankle or even for the foot and flex the foot. Only do this if you can keep your bum grounded on the floor. Last 2 breaths there, guys. And gently release, and we're going to swap sides. So take your left foot over your right knee, just above the knee, so it's like the lower thigh, so you're not on your actual knee joint. Hands behind the back of that right thigh, interlock the fingers. And breathe. Nice deep breath, gently pushing this left knee open to get a deeper stretch. Reach for the shin if you want a little bit more traction. Stretch that lower leg and reach behind the calf, or for the foot if you want even more. Breathe. Two more deep breaths there, just releasing any gripping, any tension with that lovely big out breath, guys. Let it all out. Any stress, any tension, any gripping, let it go on the out breath. And release. Stretch your left leg all the way along the floor in line with your hips. Stretch your right leg as straight as you can. Let's have a hamstring stretch. So you can either reach for the ball of the foot here and flex the foot. If that's too much for you, just hold behind the back of the leg, avoid the knee. So you might be on the calf or you might be on the hamstring. And if you need to, if you have super tight hamstrings, you can bend and stretch. Keep it dynamic. Otherwise, hold it still if you can. Let's keep it passive for this last stretch if you can, and breathe. 3 more big breaths. And 2. Length behind the back of that knee. Last big breath. Bend that right knee, hug it into your chest, send it away along the floor. Draw that left knee into the chest. Hands behind the back of the thigh or behind the back of the calf, straighten up that left leg, or take the hands to the ball of the foot if you're able to. Don't worry where your leg is. This is the beauty of these virtual workouts, guys. No one can see you. This is your practice, this is your time. Do not worry what you look like, just feel this stretch. Close your eyes if you're comfortable closing your eyes. Focus 100% on your breath. Last 2 big breaths, guys. Feel that length behind the back of the knee. Well done. Hug that knee into the chest nice and tight. Send it away. Reach your fingertips, reach your toes away from you. Breathe in. Long, long, long. Breathe out. You're going to roll yourself up, chin to chest, peeling your spine at one section at a time. Flex your feet. Let's go up and over. Don't worry where you go to. Just go to where your body goes to. Big breath in. Big breath out. Roll yourself up. We're going to roll ourselves up to standing to finish. So come into a crouch position, guys. Your feet are underneath your hips. Plant your heels into the floor. Keep those knees bent. Just take a few moments there, guys. You could hold your opposite elbows and just have a little hand. Just feel that gravity just releasing through your lower back. Nice and smooth. Let go of any tension in your head and your neck and your shoulders. It's about the only time in a Pilates class I'll say let your shoulders go up to your ears. Center yourself, release your hands to the floor. Keep a soft bend in your knees if you need to. You can straighten that up, straighten them up if you can, if you get a better stretch. We're going to roll up really slowly, guys. I want you to tune into your spine, okay? So we're going to stack our pelvis on top of our sit bones, on top of our thigh bones, sorry. So our sit bones are facing the floor. We are rebuilding our lower spine, our lumbar spine. Keep your weight centered between both your feet. We are rebuilding the midsection of our spine. We're rebuilding the top of our spine, vertebra by vertebra, rebuilding our neck and our head. Good, stay standing. Good, breathe in, roll the shoulders up. Breathe out, back and down. Breathe in, lift the hands up, look to the sky.
Breathe out, take your hands to the centre of your heart and give yourself a really well done. Thank you guys, well done, brilliant class. I went slightly over, sorry. You are now free to go. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday evening, guys in the UK. Thank you so much to Fit&Well for having me. It's been lots of fun, and take care, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Stay healthy and see you soon. Bye, take care.